everyone, thanks so much for visiting my channel. My name's Angie. I'm a family nurse practitioner, and today I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of info of how my journey has been as a nurse practitioner. For the past 9 months, I've worked as a nurse practitioner in approximately 3 specialties. So the first 2 months as a nurse practitioner, I worked as a family nurse practitioner at a family medical practice clinic, and then PRN, occupational health nurse practitioner at a veterans evaluation company. So having those 2 jobs at the beginning of my career, it was definitely a lot to learn even in 2 months. First, we'll talk about the family practice. So the family practice was really eye-opening because I was able to work with a number of diseases and manage all the diseases, and I learned so much just within 2 months. And in fact, my position specifically, I would go out into the community and educate the community, particularly those in rural areas and those with low socioeconomic status. I would go to them and educate them on their health, particularly diabetes and hypertension, because those 2 diseases are actually pretty common in the city that I'm in right now. And so that was a lot of fun. I thought it was a pretty unique gig because it allowed me to work in the clinic, and then it also gave me the opportunity to actually go out into the community and speak with everyone and educate my community, especially those who need it the most. And I think that to me personally, it was a very humbling journey, and it was a very rewarding journey because I can literally feel that I am making an impact on those in my community, encountering them where they're at. So that honestly was a really rewarding job. I would say the most stressful part of working at the family practice was incredibly fast-paced. I would get patients on my list sometimes the same day. I would get walk-ins, and since they were still building my list, I didn't have exactly a template set up yet, so I would get those that just kind of come and trickle in randomly. And honestly, I was really excited about that. I really love to manage just urgent care visits, walk-in. I really like it because for me, it's kind of like an adrenaline booster. And I like anything that gets my adrenaline moving. That was really fun. I think the most challenging part though of the job is that I didn't have adequate support. So a lot of the things I kind of had to figure out on my own. I did have another nurse practitioner who was my office buddy and who I went to if I had any questions, but she had a template of her own. My supervising physician also had a template of her own. So both my colleagues were always incredibly busy, and so I think a lot of what I did have to figure out was sources, utilize up-to-date, utilize my family nurse practitioner books that I had in family nurse practitioner school, and just kind of make use of whatever I had. So I don't know, I would get some pretty complex patients sometimes, and sometimes I honestly couldn't really figure them out. And so for me, it was nice to have my nurse practitioner colleague in the same office as me and my supervising physician right next door, because it was easy for me to go to them if I had any questions or concerns or like really things that I couldn't figure out. I could pick their brain and see what their thoughts were. I think also another challenging part of the job is I would say about 80 to 90% of my patients were Spanish speaking only. In the area that I'm in, there's actually quite a few Spanish speaking only patients. And so I think that was like the biggest challenge because I don't know a lot of Spanish. And so a lot of the times I had to get the medical assistant, even sometimes pulling the social worker to translate for me. I know that was like probably the biggest barrier of this job. So on top of kind of learning a new profession and kind of getting my feet wet with different diagnoses, different chronic diseases, I was also kind of translating that knowledge as appropriately as I can and finding someone who could translate it appropriately. That was a huge reason actually why I decided to leave that job, because I didn't find that I had appropriate, I guess there was not enough bandwidth to help me with my translation and translating to my patients. And a lot of the times I was kind of left with Google Translate, and I feel like that's doing a huge disservice to my patients. So honestly, if I had any advice, like if you we're looking for anything that you can add on to your resume, or if you can learn a skill that you could learn prior to graduating, I would totally recommend that you guys get like a Babbel app and start learning Spanish before you graduate, because it will help you immensely. You will get twofold the amount of positions reaching out to you, because there's such a strong need for bilingual nurse practitioners. And so that is still definitely on my goal list. Now that I've transitioned to a new job, I do have translation resources, and so that's really great. But I'm also kind of wanting to learn myself how to translate so that I can give the best care I can to my patients, and I could build a great rapport with them and just communicate very effectively. So that was kind of a handful. That was about the first job. So the veterans evaluation company that I worked for, I worked very PRN, and when I say very PRN, I mean like once or twice a month. So once or twice a month, each Saturday, I would typically go. So this office, I had absolutely no training. There was no orientation. And at the family practice I worked at, there was maybe like one day of orientation, and then it was like go time. The veterans evaluation company, I literally went to work the first day and was expected to see patients, expected to chart and everything, with no formal training. I had no mentor, no supervising physician, no nurse practitioner colleague near me. So this job actually was probably the worst job I've ever. So it was a great job in terms of building a great rapport with the veterans and trying to not solve their problems, but evaluate their conditions and see if they're eligible for any sort of federal support. So that was very rewarding. But I think the thing that was most challenging for me is not having any support there and having to figure out everything myself. So if I had to do it over again, I would not recommend this position for a new nurse grad, because you're putting your license at risk when you don't have any formal training for a job. And one of the things I did not like again about that job is that there was quite a bit of charting, and I'm not one to hate charting or to complain about charting. You see the importance of documentation, but this documentation I was doing for the veterans was essentially I would review all of their files and see what allows them to be eligible any sort of money for their disability. So this was quite challenging, and sometimes I would be met with 1,000-page documents that I would have to go through throughout the day and sift through to ensure that they would be eligible. And this was incredibly mundane. It was taxing. It just was completely exhausting at the end of the day. I regretted it. Want to give you guys kind of an example of how long it would take me to chart. For one patient, it would take me like 4 minutes to chart. And so this job was just incredibly grueling, and I hope I'll never work that job again. But I don't recommend a new grad work that position. Now my final position is where I'm at right now. I'm a pediatric nephrology nurse practitioner with a university institution. We're contracted with the city hospital. And so this is obviously like my dream job. I have so much support with this job. I was granted a mentor. I essentially had like I had like a 4-month orientation, 4 to 5 month. And to be honest, I'm still learning from my doctors. I still have some questions. They're making their schedules available in case I do have any questions. I'm in a shared space with 2 other physicians that both work with me, and basically their doors are always open, and so I can always go to them if I have any questions, or if I just need them to confirm my thoughts, if I need them to confirm my recommendations or assessments to the patients. They're literally right there. And so this job has been really fulfilling. In fact, I have meetings with all the nurse practitioners quarterly, and that's kind of a chance for me to voice out like my view of how things are going, and if they have any resources or advice for me, I'm able to reach out to them. Again, I was granted a mentor, and we meet quarterly. We discuss how I'm doing. We discuss research projects that I could potentially work on. and my schedule is amazing. I'm kind of starting out very slow, so my template's only open one day during the week. However, it comes available throughout the week as there are increased needs. So it's pretty flexible job. It's still 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, but I do feel like I have ample support, and I do feel, as far as resources goes, there's translation resources, there is a social worker, a secretary, of course, a dietitian, pharmacy. So there's just so many resources that are readily available. They're not even a call, like I can physically talk to them, and if I need to request their presence to evaluate one of my patients, then they're so happy. It's been a fun job, just filled with different learning experiences, and ample resources. And the great part is that my job is all outpatient, but I do go to the inpatient side from time to time whenever I have transplant patients, or whenever any of my dialysis patients land in the hospital. So that's what's great about it. You get the best of both worlds. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys my opinions, my thoughts on the different positions that I've held so far, and basically my experience as a nurse practitioner for 9 months. I hope this helps you guys get kind of a little bit of insight on what nurse practitioners do and how it is when you start out, and things to do and things not to do. So that is what this video is intended for. It's kind of more of an impromptu video, but I did want to pop in and feed you guys some knowledge. Please leave a comment, please subscribe, ring the bell so that you can be notified whenever I post a video. This new year, my goal is to post a video at least twice a week, and so I'm working on that. So you guys will help me a lot if you kind of give me feedback and interact. If you leave a comment, I will definitely reply. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Hey guys, as always, please comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoy the video, and make sure to ring the bell so that you can be notified every time I post a new video. Bye!